What's going on, everybody? It's Matt the Lumberjack Landlord here with people that you might not have heard of yet, but that will not take very long for that to change. So I'm here with Jeff and Seleka from PTO for Life.
Yes.
I'll let them explain kind of what that is. You know who I am. I'm Matt the Lumberjack Landlord, but super excited here at Michael Zuber's One Rental at a Time event, the second annual conference. They're not laughing at how bad my transition was out there. If you could hear that, they are just laughing at who is over on stage. But we wanted to cover kind of today, these guys are house hack masters. And so these guys are house hacking. I believe that they've created a whole new genre, something called a super hack. I'll explain that later. But wanted to talk to you guys about the challenges of house hacking, because so many people are just like, absolutely not, won't even consider it, not even a thing for me. So talk to us about how you got into house hacking in the first place.
Yeah, so we started with a paragraph in a book, literally that, and that's where that one paragraph mentioned that concept. They called house hacking in the book either. It was just buy a 2 to 4 unit property, live in one unit, rent out the others. That's all I remember.
Yeah.
And I went home, told Seleka, let's sell, we live in a condo, sell the condo and buy a 4 unit and live in one unit, rent out 3 units and live for free.
And I said, hell yeah. All right, let's go. I'll go wherever you go.
And the next idea he had was magic beans.
Yes.
I can drive
Yeah. What a partner. Just like my wife. Just total buy. And she's like, mountain
Yes.
together. Yes. I love it. And so the idea was, hey, we're going to we're going to sell our place that we have now,
Yeah.
our nice, cushy, wonderful lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to do really something super awesome. And we're going to go buy another house. And we're then going to rent out rooms so we can have roommates. That was the idea.
At that time, we didn't start with the roommates. That was just, we had our own
Another
units.
unit.
Yeah,
Got
so we started with the 4-plex.
Okay.
But we actually got uncomfortable for a reason, because when we moved in, it was a 2-bedroom unit, and this is pre-COVID, so we didn't have remote jobs at the time. So like, well, what are we gonna do with this extra bedroom? It's like a waste. Let's go move into her sister's basement, and then Airbnb our whole place out, just to bump the cash flow. So we got even more uncomfortable.
Someone loves that cash flow spreadsheet.
Yeah.
And that's one way we did it. And then we also did, so that's where we started from, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and then after that, moved into a single family home that was split up like a duplex,
Okay.
and put a family up top, rented rooms downstairs. We took the basement room, rented all the other rooms. So I was the only girl down there sharing a bathroom with 3 guys.
Before.
4 guys.
Sweet
Count me.
Lord.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a guy.
4 guys. And after that, I mean, I made it through that whole year.
Yeah.
That's fine. And then the next house hack, I was like, we have to have our own bathroom.
I support that.
That was difficult.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So
Yeah.
there was
I mean,
one
I'm
time-
surprised you're still married after that move, but okay. Yeah.
We just had to go somewhere else,
Yeah.
like, hey, is there a near gym or a coffee shop nearby?
And and it's like, if you weren't really bought into the strategy at that point, you're like, well, I guess we got to go buy another one, honey.
Yes.
Like, sorry, way to
Right.
go. And so the next one was, so now at this point, you've kind of refined the process. You've kind of done all around the house hacking. So you've done the ultra hack. I call it a super hack when you actually have people living in your unit. So I think house hacking very often, and certainly what we did a lot of in the beginning, I did the super hack when I was single. Once I got married, it was like, can't do the super hack. I need my own space with my wife. And I can't be dealing with somebody else coming and going. Can't. And so that was something that, once I got married, I was like, not going to do it. But you guys made it through that journey and then said, hey, we found kind of a really proven model at this point, now that we're kind of 3 in, right, at this stage. And so number 4, you're set up and you do what in number 4?
We continue the process. So we just found a bigger place. We found that was the duplex with ADU, and we did 3 strategies in one. So we took the master bedroom on the ADU and rent out 3 rooms. And then the front duplex, we did Section 8 and rented to a market tenant to just like, hey, let's just go make as much cash flow as possible. And we got 2.75 rate.
I mean, and that's still that same today.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. So again, for those of you wondering why the house hack thing is so important, it's the owner occupied rate that we got. And that was the thing for me back in the late 2000s, 2007, 8, 9, 10. They took away our ability to do 10 units. We could only do 4. And so because we could only do 4 buildings, I already had 5. I was stuck. I couldn't get my next building unless I decided that I wanted to move there. So for you guys, it was brilliant just keeping it sleek, nimble, but that massive appeal. And I love the spreadsheet, Jeff. Like where you're like that spreadsheet profitability is off the charts. Other people are dealing with single digits and you have got a cash machine in the backyard printing. I'm just waiting to hear the hack where you guys like rented out everything you lived in the shed, but I know it's a colder market there. So it'd be like, well, just in the summer we lived in the shed. But as the business continued to grow, you start to see more challenges, certainly with people living in the units with you, as opposed to just the unit next to you. So talk to me when some of those, starting to see some of those challenges and what you guys have done to mitigate some of those challenges with it.
So
door locks.
Door locks. Oh, always from the beginning. That was just, definitely door locks. But I would say just simple things that at first you don't really think about it, but then it becomes implemented and it just works. For example, there was one time I put clothes in the dryer. And this was all like the girly, delicate stuff. I just put it in the dryer, left, came back, and it must have been done. And so one of the roommates, these are all guys, took it out and put it in a basket to like put his stuff in there. And I was like, oh, somebody touched my stuff. Gross. Why? Like, couldn't he just wait? And so I was like, oh, now like he knows my like stuff. So that was difficult for me. And Jeff was like, well, no big deal. I was like, well, yeah, because
you weren't in them.
Boxes.
Still. Hey, having 5 sisters, trust me, you never want to touch the unmentionables. I'm just like,
why did he touch mine?
You can just flip over the laundry, and they knew that I wouldn't take their stuff out because I was like, I don't want to touch your stuff.
Exactly. He should have just.
I'm just like, you're gonna have to take it out. I am by law, I cannot touch those things. It is awful.
Exactly. There you go.
Totally get it.
I wish these dudes had sisters. So anyway, so I'm like, ooh, gross. Ugh. And it's not like it's wet. When it's wet, you can't really tell what's going on. But once it's dry, it's there. Yeah. So I was like, okay, we gotta like come up with a calendar, and maybe everybody picks a day or 2 days out of the calendar when they want laundry, and then that's your laundry day. Yeah. Whether you leave your clothes in there or move it or whatever, that's your day, and no one can touch your stuff that day. And it worked out. And so like all of our house hacks after that, we always put up a calendar. We put people's names, and then if they want to trade with a roommate or whatever, then that's on them, whatever they want to do. Sure. But that eliminated that issue. And that was early on. And so we've just always implemented that. And that was like a huge relief for me.
His nickname is Bathrobe Guy.
Okay.
He didn't really like to wear, I don't know if he wore anything underneath or just the bathrobe, but he's walked around all the time.
Just so long as he's leaving it to the imagination, that's all that matters. I want no proof that you have anything underneath there or not. I don't need to see it. And so as you guys continue to, like, just with anything, like your first one looks like X, your second one looks like Y, and then they just continue to build on each other. So now you're kind of 5, 6 house hacks in. You guys are on your 8th now, right? Currently on your 8th.
Go to 9, yeah.
Yeah, going to 9. And when do you close on 9?
That would be, well, we technically were under contract for 9.
Okay.
Fell apart during inspection because it just had roof, boiler system.
Oh, that's right. We talked about that. That's right.
Yeah, only $40,000 of stuff at least.
Yeah.
That was just the stuff you can't see.
Well, you're super hacking, so you can find that in couch cushions, and it's not even your change. Like, that's the win. So, as you guys have progressed through the process, and so you're in number 8 right now, and you're working on number 8, or you're living in number 8 right now. I really think it's the super hack when you have a bunch of people living amongst you. Like, that's a super hack. Like, that is just totally next level, because the amount of sacrifice that it takes to live in a super hack versus just a regular house hack is like eons apart, right? Because that you have your own separate space versus having to share your kind of your shared space. What are the top 3 things that you would tell people that are living in a super hack scenario where they're roommates? What are the things that you think completely change the game in living in something and sharing that space, being a married couple and sharing space with others? What are those top 3 things?
Well, they're not necessarily negative. I would say definitely one top thing was I went from us cooking. Well, we went from us cooking together. Like that was a really like fun thing for us to do together when we lived in his condo, to now Not really. I didn't want to take up any space in the kitchen. I just like let them do their thing, and we would go out to eat a lot. So it wasn't necessarily a bad thing. It was a good thing. We were able to experience all the different restaurants in that neighborhood. And we kind of saved money in a way too, because we would just like order one dinner and share it between us. And so it was just like a nice thing that brought us together too more. Just the sharing and eating together. I think eating is a really kind of intimate thing to do in a way, especially when you're sharing the same plate with the person you love.
I agree. You've never seen me with a donut. I get it.
So I would say that was a good part. And I just didn't think that that's something that we would do, is like not really cook for like a full year and just kind of like go out to eat all the time. And you'd think we'd be like 400 pounds, but we kind of did it a smarter way. And then in sharing and not just like both having.
I think along those lines too, because we didn't really want to share the kitchen with them because we wanted them to enjoy it. We established, renting a house or like renting a unit with all these rooms. We want to make sure that they don't get confused on what is what. So we had to learn also the hard way of like, okay, room 1 gets these 3 cabinets, room 2 gets these, room 3 and 4 and 5. Okay. And then same thing in fridge space. Sometimes you have 2 refrigerators because one of the places when we learned this, how we got the rule is one of the houses we were renting the rooms and we had a tenant turnover. Then we saw the freezer and it was so packed of stuff. None of the guys ever said anything. They just like accepted that someone's food was in there for years. It must have been like 2 or 3 years later, and no one said anything. Like they didn't say, "Hey, whose is this?" And basically we said, "Okay, we're just going to toss it all out if no one claims it." And then we said, okay, here's how we're going to reorganize everything. So cabinets, so when people move in, move out, it makes it more seamless.
Yep.
So room 3 moves out, all the shelves of room 3 and kitchen, fridge shelves are cleaned out. If they're already gone, then that all gets cleaned out and it's ready for the next person. So you know that things are moving along.
Sure.
That helped a lot.
So I would assume that when they're amongst you, that has to be a fairly rigorous process. For saying, sure, you can live 19 feet from my bedroom. So what is that vetting process? Because, I'm bold enough to say I would never rent out a unit that I wouldn't live in. I'm not bold enough to say that I would live with any of the tenants that I rent to. So what does that look like for you guys?
Oh, this is my favorite part. So I look at tenant screening as guilty till proven innocent. For each
said. As well anybody should. Yes. Especially for living amongst me. Yes. Absolutely.
So I really vet them. But so I do, the income check, the pay stubs, like everything in your wonderful course.
Thank you.
It definitely checks all the boxes. You just have to kind of treat it like you're a private investigator, and you have to dig and dig and dig. And you don't want to be the first one to rent them from the mom's basement. Like mom wants to kick them out. You shouldn't be the first one to try them out. Let someone else take them and let them get some experience first. Then you'll see how you can pass your inspection or approval process. But more importantly, the short leases. So this is how we do it. We do 2 to 4 month leases to start. So see like the fit. It's like, okay, what we really like is the introverted type people that hide in the rooms, that don't talk to us.
Yep, nutritionists, librarians, software developers. Yep.
Video
the nerdier, the better.
Yeah, exactly. Did you just say beep boop to me? You're in. I love it when he's like 001 100 1100. I'm like, still in. You're good. Take the room. I love anybody who's trying to speak binary.
Yes.
So the more introverted, the better. I agree.
Because you got to think about who is that personality.
Hell yeah.
They're not going to cook that much.
No.
They're not going to talk to you.
Yep.
Actually, if anything, they probably find talking to you would be the toughest thing in the world for them. So they'll spend more time in the room, probably just gaming or just watching TV. That's fine. We don't want to see them. Sure. We just want them to, have a good job, pay rent, and keep the, room reasonably clean when they move in, move out. And that's pretty much it. And then if they pass that 2 to 4 month lease, depending on time of year, then we offer the 6 to 12 month renewal. Once we see that performance, and then they pass those few checks, then we give them the longer leases. And it's done pretty well. We've had a couple of houses where we've had people stay for one house has 3 tenants have stayed over 3 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah. For
at
rent
this
by
point,
room.
they're roommates that they know by each other,
exactly.
but you're getting the rent by the room rate
exactly,
as opposed to a unit rate,
which
is awesome. So when you're doing your digging,
Yeah.
what's the craziest thing you found when you did your digging? No pictures of like, you know, Millennial Mike, like, you know, doing the perp walk with somebody. Right?
Actually, there was. Which one is yours?
Okay, I'll start with mine first. So my favorite one was, so I did the application, right? And it was a guy who had a second-degree murder charge, but his name was like John Thompson. Very common name. I'm like, oh, okay, this is probably
it's probably an alias.
Probably an alias name. Or like, I'm just going to confront him about it. So I did the showing, and you know, he dressed really nice, talked well, like nothing that was like, this guy looks like someone that was in prison for 20 years from initial impression. And then I just asked him like, hey, I just want to confirm, I saw in your background check that you have a second-degree murder charge, and you know, is this you? And then he got all teary-eyed, and he said, yeah, that's me. I can't deny that. And I told him straight up, sorry, we can't accept, you know, people with felony records. And you know, best of luck to you. But that was probably one that was the most surprising, because initial appearances is like there was nothing that you could tell.
And even everything else checked out too.
Oh yeah, he had a good job. Yeah, like he made
out.
like 100,000, like even with a second-degree murder charge. Like he got out of prison after like 12
Clearly
years.
a talented second-degree.
Yeah. And I found the
Changed his life
article.
around,
I found his article. Like it was a 19-year-old that made a mistake at a party. Killed his like friend, got drunk, and then went to jail for that time, served his time, and got out early for good behavior.
Yeah.
And trying, but like that's, especially if we're living next to these.
I get it. Like I get the level of hesitancy, and like, you know, your wife needing to be home alone, you know, every once in a while. So
there are more people out there.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
There's plenty.
Yeah, exactly. We'll look for. We're going to need to pass on this. It was really close. I'll be honest, it was really close, but we opted for somebody else.
Yeah.
And so, what was when you did any digging? What was the tenant that you were just like?
Actually, I was gonna say same guy.
Was that the one?
That was like the like scariest. Yeah.
So in a lot of states, you can't deny housing based on their criminal record, but you can deny housing based on their crime. So if it was a violent crime, you can deny it based on the violent crime. But and again, check your states, because it differs every single state. But I found out that most recently because I got a call from a tenant. He said, hey, you know, I've got a person, you know, he's getting out of jail. And so what I wanted to do is, you know, I just want to be his first place that he stays at before he finds his own place. I said, hey, we're all about second chances, so let's talk about it. And he goes, okay, sounds good. He goes, I'm going to have the probation officer call you. I said, okay, sounds good. And so I'm literally thinking nothing of it. The probation officer calls me maybe 3 or 4 days later. He said, hi, is, you know, this Matt? And I said, yes, sure it is. And he said, are you aware of, you know, this tenant trying to get this inmate to come live with him? And I said, I am. And so we talked about it, and he said, is this something that, you know, that you're okay with? And I said, yeah, we're all about redemption and somebody's second chances. We're all about that. So I would just like some detail if I could. He said, and I said, well, how has he been as a prisoner? Say, oh, he's been a good prisoner. And so I'm just asking all of those questions. And then the last one, literally my last question was, I guess the one thing I'd really just like, the last thing I'd like to know is like what he was in for. And he goes, you didn't recognize the name? And I was like, no, I didn't recognize the name. And he goes, really? And I go, no. I said, please tell me, what was he in for?
Oh.
He was actually convicted of a double murder.
Oh.
And I was like, interesting. And I said, can you give me more detail on that double murder? He goes, well, it's all public information. I said, great. I don't want to take the time to go look it up. Just tell me just tell me the information. He goes, it was actually deemed a thrill kill. And I said, yeah, so my answer's going to have to be no at this point. And I said, you know, hopefully we can leave it at that. And he goes, no, I completely understand. I said, I hope you understand. This is not a single family house where he's moving in with a roommate that's trying to do the right thing and we're trying to do the right thing and help him. I said, I'm putting other tenants at risk. And I said, and if it were something that was, you know, maybe a vehicular homicide or something like that, where it was just like something like that. No. It was actually deemed a thrill kill. And so we're going to have to take a wild pass on this one. But that's the kind of stuff that I think a lot of people that don't do their due diligence. And one of the things that I think is really cool about the super hack that you guys do is that you have to have that high level of due diligence. Like Perry Mason, yes, I'm dating myself. Veronica Mars, for those of you who are watching. But that detective work where you go a mile deep to really make sure that that person is of high quality. Have you ever seen somebody that was just like flawless on paper. And you're just like, this is the Suleika of tenants on paper.
A
Just
lot of them.
flawless.
But there are
and
things,
but then turned into
Oh, here we go.
a guy that was ready to do a thrill kill, for like, was there
Oh.
any of those where it was just like within a few days you were like, this might have been a huge mistake?
Maybe not thrill kill part, but
I hope not.
definitely something that you can't screen for, and it would have been very inappropriate if we would have asked.
Yes.
And then it was a girl.
Okay.
So she became one of our tenants. Everything was perfect.
Mm-hmm.
We called her last landlord. Good. Everything was good.
Mm-hmm.
And she moves into the place, and a couple weeks later, the neighbor comes by, and she's complaining about her. And we're like, well, what's going on? And
Okay.
she's like, okay, well, let me just tell you that after school, we have to take the kids, instead of them sitting at home doing their homework, we have to take them to the park because there's just a lot of noise coming from this side of the house.
Noise?
Yeah.
Got it.
Like
Noise.
Valentine's Day noise,
Yep.
let's say that.
Yeah.
And we weren't home during those hours, so we had
They
no
were working.
idea. And the kids, little innocent kids, they thought they didn't know who this girl was. They had never seen her, so they thought Jeff was beating me, like hitting me.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Oh my God, Jeff's hitting Suleika." That's not it. Like,
You're like,
let's
your
go to the
car's
park.
getting egged in the morning. Why are you slashing my tires and egging my car? Yeah.
That's how bad she was screaming. It was almost like, it was like deathly.
Yeah.
And so these kids are freaking out. And the mom is like, I can't just do this all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have to put headphones on them when they're doing their homework. And she's like, it's just becoming an issue. And so I was like, oh, wow. Like, that's crazy that it's that loud that you can hear it on the other side. And yeah, I heard it one time and I was like, whoa.
Now, was this a
bad.
boyfriend or was this like frequent guests?
This was, oh, yeah. That part.
Ladder.
Yeah.
Frequent guests.
Yeah.
Side hustle.
I can't harsh on the side hustle. I appreciate the innovation. I just, you probably shouldn't be house hacking at that point.
She wasn't late on rent though. She was Christian. She was down with
Cash
it.
flow over
Cash,
everything.
yeah,
So Suleika is like, she's never come to you with any, and Jeff's like, she's not come to you with any. Yeah, exactly. Making sure to keep
Oh
it,
my God.
keep it
Well,
on the up and up.
when she had come back over and she's like, hey, have you talked to her? And I was like, I haven't been able to like meet up with her face to face, but we are drafting up a letter and whatever. And I was like, wait, is it that guy? And she's in my house at this point. And she goes, no, it's a different one. But yeah, that one too.
That one
I was
too.
like, oh God. So
Yeah.
one goes out this way, the other one goes out the other way. I don't know. But anyway, we tried to, get the best verbiage. Jeff was too shy to go downstairs and talk to her about it. And I was like, yeah, it's probably going to come off weird. So let's just draft something, post it on her door, and like snap a picture that we did it.
Yeah.
And we were so green at that time. We don't know if that was the correct thing to do, but
This is pre-lumberjack, pre-ORAP,
Yeah.
pre-DIY. We just kind of had to figure things out, and it was a wild west back then. It was a fun adventure, and it was I don't know how you talk to someone about noise complaints when it's like, so I just want to.
So I can tell you exactly how it goes because I've gotten to do it.
Yeah.
And so we started getting complaints, same things from a next door neighbor, and they were just like, Matt, I can't sleep anymore. And I was like, I'm missing where that's a landlord thing. I gotta help me out. I was like, are you asking for me to come over and sing lullabies? Would you like me to drop off tea around 7 or 8?
Fluff your mattress.
Yeah. I was like, what exactly is it that you need? And she goes, no, the next door neighbor. And I said, oh, okay. What's the issue? And she goes, it's screaming. And I was like, what's screaming? She goes, the screaming. She goes, during their sessions. That's what she called their sessions. I was like, okay. I said, I've not heard this from anybody else. I said, but let me know. And I'm more than happy to post a noise complaint on their door. And so then what was actually really kind of funny about it is then I got a call from the downstairs, and she also goes, yeah, it's kind of like out of control. What was really funny is that it was like they abut like 3 units, like there was a 2-floor unit next to them, and then kind of like a diagonal thing. But long story short is, I then call because I've only not heard from one tenant. And so I call him and I said, hey, are you hearing any crazy noises next door? And I could tell he was smiling when he answered. And he goes, like what? And I go, I know you're smiling, right?
He's part of it.
Yeah. And he goes, like what? And I go, like noises. And I go, I mean, it's bothering the other two girls and the tenants. And I just need to make sure, I needed to find out from you. And he goes, doesn't bother me at all. I'm like, of course that's your answer. Thank you again for participating in the survey. I was like, I've got bad news. She'll be leaving.
Yeah.
And so we
Show's
had to go
over.
up. But yeah, we just all we did was we posted a noise complaint,
Okay.
and then she called on the noise complaint. And she goes, well, I get to enjoy my own apartment. I go, you can enjoy your own apartment to your heart's content. It just can't impinge on other people's enjoyment of their apartment. And so I said, here's what I'm willing to do. Because she was such a good tenant. She never complained about anything. She paid 2 weeks early. I was just like, tenant love right there. And so I said, I'm willing to try to accommodate. I literally looked up soundproofing. I said, I need a weekend. We went and we soundproofed her apartment.
Wow.
We literally got these jelly rolls that they stick on top of mattresses, the jelly pads, like the foot insoles, and we put that up in the enclave that her bed was in. We rolled it up the top, we rolled it on the ceiling, and I was like, and we then took a jukebox and cranked it, and then I was like texting, can you hear that downstairs? Can you hear that downstairs? Hear what? Okay, we're good. And then she came back and it didn't work.
Oh,
And so I literally said to her, I said, I'm really sorry. I got a second noise violation. I said, in landlording, 2 strikes and you're out. And she goes, okay. And I said, on the other hand, holy cow. And she goes, holy cow. And I go, they could hear you through the sound.
Wow.
I was like, I recommend a single family house next time because that's likely all you're going to be able to use. So if you guys, a lot of times there's, deals and things that we look at when we're looking at our portfolio and how we're growing. And a lot of times we make the choices that we make to then, I adore the love of the spreadsheet and the margins. So, because that's off the charts for you guys. But as you look at that, did you look to see, hey, we sacrificed a lot the last 10 years. In that sacrifice over the last 10 years, this is how much that's accelerated. That sacrifice has accelerated our ability to own our cash, our income, our cash flow. Have you looked at like what the real ramifications of that are from a financial perspective? Because for us, we house hacked, and then we were still the way that we were investing, we were still turbocharging everything. So this is a turbocharged strategy for sure. And so what has this meant? Because you've been doing this for 10 years now?
2017, so
17, so 8 years?
Yeah.
So you've been doing it 8 years now. How many years do you think you've saved yourself by super hacking and doing it as aggressively as you're doing it? Like, do you think you've cut 10 years off of your timeline for doing it? Are you guys going to do this forever? I'm a horrible interviewer. I asked lots of questions.
That's awesome, though. That's a great question.
Huh?
I mean, does it
yes,
say...
of course I've calculated it, and it's at least 40 years.
I knew it.
Well, the way you looked at it was, when I talked to her about it, was we could work our W-2 jobs and do that for at least 40 years. And what does Dion say? 40 years, 40%, something like that.
Yep.
And yeah, that was an option. And we were living in a great condo with a spiral I love a spiral staircase.
Yeah.
And high ceilings and all that.
Super expensive to buy, by the way. I know. I bought them.
And basically gave that up, but went in this journey knowing that it wouldn't be like this is forever journey. It was just like a short period of time. Our original goal was 10 of them, 10 fourplexes in 10 years. With FHA loans for $500 a month cash flow and $5,000 at the end. And we were able to achieve that much faster. And then not only that, it allowed her to leave first and then me to leave after, where we were able to just walk away without feeling the effects of like people jumping the gun too soon, right? Where they get too excited, like, oh, I did a few flips, I'm really good at it. And like, oh, I'm gonna quit my job.
Yeah.
We were patient and steady. And just waited that once a year and kept on doing it. And then by the point in time of 2023, That's when I finally left. Soika left a little time before that.
Yeah.
But it really sped up the whole timeline. I would say at least 40 years because, and you're right, supercharge it because it's like an accelerated financial path to freedom.
Yeah.
Because you're sacrificing your space, you're sacrificing your comfortability for a short period of time. And it really isn't that bad. We had a great time. We still have a great time. We're in a little triplex now. We have a little 1-bedroom, but it's just us. No pets, no kids. And I get all the attention I need.
Well, the thing is for you guys, and what I love about the story is, you know, what we have so much in common is we never wanted to become unretirees. And everybody talks about being a retiree. What about the people that have to unretire? And I've met a number of them. They became unretirees because they were so aggressive in trying to get out of their job, and their aggressive strategy wasn't on the housing side. So they were aggressive in trying to get out of their job, but they were not aggressive in making sure that could happen. So it was like, hey, I can retire now. I was like, have you lived on 6 months of that yet? No. How do you know? Like, even on a spreadsheet, like it's outside of the spreadsheet, even just like actually living on your rental income for 6 months, and what's that look like? Yeah. So you guys are in a 1-bedroom apartment now.
Yep. And
that's one of the 3 units in a triplex. Mm-hmm. And so the next step, are you going to go back to super hacking, or are you going to just regular house hack?
It depends.
Depends on how many bedrooms are in a unit.
Yeah, depends on the deal. Like that's what's amazing about my amazing wife Soika is she's willing. Like we did that. We lived in a tiny house and then went back to room by room. So we actually had the luxury of a detached private structure. And then we said, you know, the next deal made sense with rent by room, and we did it again. So we're able to swing between the two depending on the deal and then to go to your question, the other question you asked, like what's your end number? And basically, you already, just to do one more, and then you can tell Ashley, like, even if you guys sold that house and bought another one, like, okay, we'll just do one more just for fun, because it's fun.
I don't understand. I'm dedicated. Yeah, it's my problem. But yeah, I think it's so nice that Soika convinced you that the ADU or that the tiny home was not a shed.
Right.
She tricked you. But no, I mean, I think that's the thing is I think so often people, if you want to have an aggressive timeline to get out of your jobs, you better have an aggressive real estate timeline. And too often it's not nearly as aggressive enough a real estate timeline and still too aggressive of a job timeline. Like, I got to get out of this. It's like, listen, because you guys officially retired at age.
I can't remember how old I was at the time. But it was in 2020. But it was in my 30s. Yeah. In your 30s.
Yeah. And 30s.
And
no.
30s. Almost. 30s. I missed it by a couple of months. I hit 40.
Okay.
That was real, that's another story.
Yeah.
What happened?
I mean, but that's the
magic. It's amazing. Yeah.
But that's the magic of the super hack. And love your guys' commitment to the goal. And so you get to 10. Let's say I don't move out of my house because I can't convince my wife to. She already said, she goes, I could hack again. She said her and the kids just wouldn't be coming with me. And I said, I suppose that's reasonable. I was like, but that's an awful big mortgage for you to pay by yourself, honey. And she's laughing. She goes, I know you didn't mean that. I was like, kind of. I was like, we really need to super hack again. She goes, we have 4 tenants. I was like, yeah, none of them pay. It's my 4 children. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I told Sam, I was like, you're 7. It's time to be a man. Get a job. Rent's due on the 1st, son. And I expected a security deposit. And don't put all that stuff on the walls. But after this next one or after the next couple, is the goal a special type of house, a special location of house? Is it we're cool to hack forever because we just don't care, it doesn't bother us?
Well, in the perfect world, it would be cool to design our own ADU behind the house that we'll be renting out.
Okay.
I think that would be awesome. It's like a garage underneath and then our little place up top. No more than like 750 square feet. I don't like a lot of space because I don't
want to clean it.
No, I know that.
My wife doesn't want to clean it.
I love my house clean and I like things tidy, but I don't need all that space. And then you watch a scary movie and you're like, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I like
it's probably in the my closet.
I want to see everything. I don't want.
I guess my last question for you is, so we got to be professional movers because of the house hacking thing.
Mhm.
So we basically got life down to like 60 totes and then bed stuff that doesn't fit in a tote. So we got down to life being kind of 60 totes. And so if you're talking 750 square feet, you're like 16 totes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not a lot
18
of
totes.
totes. Yeah, yeah.
So have you guys gotten to that level where the move is the number of totes?
Oh yeah, no, we
Like
can
basically
move.
bed, a little bit of furniture and a few
Yeah,
tote
we can
beds?
move in one day. Like
Yeah.
if I told her like, oh, I found the next deal, we have to move tomorrow. She's
Yeah.
like, okay, I'll get everything packed up, and I just have to carry all the boxes out. And I like not packing, but carrying things.
Yes.
And I don't like carrying things. I don't mind packing.
Yeah.
So it's perfect.
Yeah.
What he doesn't like, I
Ironically,
like.
I don't like doing either. So it works out. Which really stunk. It was the only nice part about being the one working 70 hours a week where I was like, sorry, babe, I don't know what to tell you. But she would pack everything, but then I would, bring in a bunch of people to move all the stuff. And that was just like, it's like, I can't believe I'm paying people to move boxes, but I know what the other alternative is, and I'm not going to do it.
And the next day you feel it.
But guys, thank you so much for taking the time
thank
to
you.
do this today. Guys, if you don't know who Jeff and Slick are from PTO, check them out on YouTube. They're there. They're all over the place, but they will be at the One Rental at a Time event tomorrow. If you're not at the event, you need to make sure to purchase the event because then you can actually get the videos and check out all these unbelievable podcasts I've done all day long. And some other people have done some pretty good podcasts too. But thanks so much to you guys. Thanks so much to the guys behind the camera. You guys have been awesome as always to work with. And we'll see you in the next one. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.